Yeah, I want to speak to Governor Reynolds in Iowa, and number one, say that I don't influence or try to determine a dot or a double dot collision of time, and Iowa has total of five collisions, which is just incredible. But you reverse, that means that you reverse to China that has three. And and it could be colored pixels that I wasn't able to use. And we're merging all the realms of existence now. Where you have no idea what what's happening. We Sandra Bullock can carry time and substance in her wallet. Reduction. Everything nothing can expand except through reduction. And of course, we had to fractionate. And what fun is that? I mean, I wouldn't feel so proud if I always had to put a decimal point in it. But continuity made us a Zebco 33. And hell, fish. Of course. I mean, that's the first what we relied on. Everything is relevant. Mankind doesn't even understand the Bible reduces under 3 plus 3 music theory. Then you have 7 plus 5. You complicated music theory so much because you didn't really understand that root is a one-time deal. And I guarantee you just an honest miscommunication or just not not knowing each other. But the program thought the 6, what happens is 6 crucify their one. So the one is dead, and then they die twice. Well, one comes back, which is me, and lives, and the others die second time so that they can be resurrected. And then the only one that's left dead is number one. The program just thought that you had to keep planting the roots just like springtime. And not only that, the roots are actually 3 foot down. And we're putting humans in. So the program's killing humans, and we're burying them in coffins 6 foot down. So this is a garden, middle A, and that's why it's Iowa. Iowa is Mother Earth. Corn is Mother Earth, and it's all about the flowers, and so the program doesn't see anything infinite. It thinks that it's just a perpetual process. And when there's no flowers, it's gonna create disasters that create hasty burials. And then carbon is returned to the soil. And that's the way it's supposed to be. But in that, golly, that means that I don't want to even get into that, but something had to interfere in that and stick the coffins in there to complicate it. And that's where I think Roman Polanski and the dead people, I think the dead people are able to yank or chain, more or less. And I think, Ron DeSantis is going to find out that it's all a theme park. Every human is an extension of my heart. So you have no civil rights. But the Zebco 33 and the fact that the DNA stream is outside is independent of our bodies makes you autonomous, and that's why you're actually going to get certified .3 civil rights as autonomous from me. In my, everything replicates in my heart. That's where it all started. And that had and it had to be a big gay heart looking for Ray and ending up with everyone's a derivative of Neil Young just in the first sequence. And I'd rather that you guys unlock the sequences, because the songs, everything's got to happen in the right order. And you'll know when you get it. And number two, you've all got inherent knowledge yourself. And this is how it's going to work is everybody's going to be at their own level. And this is education. We're science and education now. So all our time is spent on science and education. And we're never bored. And we have to keep bringing people along. And it's a word puzzle. It's going to become organized. My initial daydreams or visions were boards of words, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Nothing is ever final. Everything expands, but is it worth the price? A lot of things are, but how they unlock is it's going to be simple words from the right perspective. And we're just going to hit roadblocks, and it's easier to unlock other areas, but it's all unlocking on words and altered perceptions. And any human can just say that one remark and everybody goes, oh my God, that's it. I mean, just that odd duck paradox look unlocks a window. It's just incredible. This is ESP on drugs, hyperdrive, and carbon can't be addicted to itself. And that's why it's going to be important to immediately pierce the gangs, the drug cartels, because what the drug cartels need to understand is we don't make other humans suffer. So just because the whole ball game changed, we don't just blow off the addicts. We can't create problems for ourselves. So they need to turn humanitarian, and we'll be giving them some vitamins and stuff. But I think that the addictions will start dissolving themselves as the dysfunction starts dissolving, because carbon can't be addicted to itself. It just can't. And there's nothing but carbon. If there was even carbon. And we haven't written, and there is logic. There is absolute logic, flatline logic on all this. That is the beauty of it, because it had to be able to complete. And it did. The human body, a nuclear waste station, pooping innocuous waste. That was the goal. That's what we got. And I know some of the concepts where they came from, but we're still writing them. And this is about as interactive as it can get. And you need to understand on education, there can be no curriculum because we're going in motion. We're going in motion. But look at how much I know through my vocabulary. And I guarantee you I've looked up very little, because I've just needed basic concepts. I looked up Heinrich Hertz on the radio waves. I did read some of the Bible, and But the Bible is to be unlocked together as a globe. We've got the templates now. Everything overlays as a circle. The 7 circles, the 6 shapes, and it all overlays history. You put, when you have the 2 double aughts, that you got a square, and you put the calendar in there, and then it inflates. You just need to just figure out the calibrations. But the shapes are your grain structure, and that's what you travel. That's the Heraclitus highway, Scotch ingraining. See, and that was the only thing I could come up with on what's been done to the Jews over the fact that they can't even be guilty of the crucifixion, and then what Hitler did to them. I just seemed extreme for Scotch, and I hate Scotch, and I don't like cigars, but I damn sure will like virtual Scotch and cigars with Michael J. Fox and William Shatner and James Spader and all the other greats. Ernie Becker. We need Ernie Becker there. And the judiciary needs to understand you suck. I mean, you're all corrupt as shit. There's no way around that. But the law, flatline law, is incredible. And my case will never be resolved. So we've got one of the biggest cases there are so many issues thrown off from my case that it might not ever be resolved. So we've got that to litigate, but that's not enough. You lose everything else, but you'll know we're supposed to rewrite it. We're supposed to reverse the past. We call mine home, and we're going to be rewriting. We're going to be rewriting the future, the past, and the present at the same time. But we can write it any way we want it, and it will sink, and we'll sink at some point. Hollywood needs to think reams of paper that you can influence in a screenplay. I mean, that is how the subparticles work. I mean, this is 100 trillion times 100 trillion pixels, and it can go any direction. And the beauty is it has to follow me. Or what I want, but once I turn it over, then I have nothing to do with it. Then it becomes collective will, and that's why it can never be abused. And we can't pollute it. We can't pollute. We have the opportunity for every human to start over, a fresh slate. Because we can't blame anybody for what they've been, because it's all been influenced. You have a Trojan horse in your forehead, and you can't even be guilty of criminal intent when you have propaganda in your forehead trying to get you to do it, and you don't know about it. So, to the prisoners and stuff, we can't set you up to fail. And the rioters in Enrique Tarrio will be getting out, and you're going to see a lot of activity, but we've got to get you infrastructure. I know what I'm doing, and I know what you need to be successful, and we don't need a lot of time. And sooner than later, the prisons will be opened up because I don't know what room situation is going to be. At some point, space won't matter because we don't need to sleep or anything else. I mean, we just stand all day. It's spirit, mortal spirit, and somehow our flesh is portable. Anyway, it's been a long road getting there, but I think it's supposed to be Iowa. And please, and don't let me down on this. People are dying that don't have to die. And DNA inclusivity will end the hostilities. And when Hamas understands that I'm coming for them, because I want to make sure that they have what they need to be happy, to feel like they have a future and to become invested in it. I mean, who isn't going to jump all over that? I just don't anticipate that much in problem. It's just coming out strong and saying everything has to be recalled. It was all wrong for a reason, and you get Hollywood and Sandra Bullock. You get them up to speed, and you just start hammering the globe for a wake-up period. And I bet by the time the wake-up period is over, we've already won the battle. Yeah, because we're going to be hitting them from every side. And you can take the recent legal documents and some of the other stuff, and during that 1 hour, and you have Congress just handed it cold and having each one of them read once, a paragraph out of there and react. And that's going to tell the globe that, they're going to say, because the slavery is just incredible. I mean, it's impossible. The whole story is impossible. Everything that happened to me is just impossible. 5 illegal captivities. But I had to reset. I had to be reset a bunch because you can't. I was mad at them for even attempting it. Until I figured out that, the relationship, because it's just impossible to replace 65% of what you are with empty space. You just can't survive. It's just the model collapses, and a lot of times I was close. The court docket, Facebook, because you don't know, but when you advance intellect, you have to start over as a child, as a baby. And I wrote a Bible right after the mutation happened on Facebook. And right now that's hidden. But the court record and Facebook trace will show everything I went through. And recovery is my body, as my carbon fought like hell to get me through an impossible mutation. It was my 4th mutation. So, but the alcohol, cigarettes 35 years ago, alcohol a little over a year ago, the intellect in 1028, then Barrett's esophagus, which science speculates dead stomach cells migrate upstream and take over the esophagus, but it's absolutely a self-defense mechanism. I know cystic fibrosis has been successful one time in installing perfect genes, but they don't realize that it's they don't realize that carbon controls the genetics and the gene sequences. Nor does science know that cells can't go on shelves because the carbon cell perpetuates from inside out, from the bottom. The new cells are produced from the bottom, and carbon must self-perpetuate to sustain life. But carbon is not the life force. The DNA, the eternal DNA stream, is the life force. And it's a harmonic cosmic force beyond what a guitar, produces. And there's another realm involved in this. And in fact, the realms never stop. Just like the universe, the raw universes. But since I'm since I was right there with Roy Mercer when we engineered them, and of course I replicated them to infinity. I knew everything layered, but in practice, it can only happen once. I mean, everything can't just keep layering. Everything that happens, and I had realized, that the decision to replicate occurs at creation, and when you create the universes and replicated them, and they'll be replicating forever. But get this, I used a gate in a door, and infinity now is perpetually circular. Our infinitely expanding universe is closed now, a closed electrical circuit. And before it was open-ended. It was opened because the infinity existence has to be bound to both ends of infinity. And they have to have continuity. And because it's basically a folder. The infinity folder, the difference between nothing and everything. But in my book, in my model, it's either nothing or everything. There's nothing in between. There's 0, 3, 3, 6, 6, 9, 9, 0, 0, and nothing in between. So it's nothing or everything. And it's a matter of 6 perspectives. And nothing can be just as magical as everything. This is what we make it. You put that whole car together, and it relies on one thing: a black wire attached to nothing, to a bolt. They can't even be ground because of the rubber tires. It's nothing. And there's 14 black wires after death because one is dead. So, but anyway, it's time. And, the world leaders, Kim Jong-un, he's grown north and south. So a lot of these leaders are going to fall into place because I consider them a carbon emergency, and Vladimir Putin's carbon is drooping, and no telling what, and he's just gonna fade away and be dead. We don't need to lose. We don't want to lose anybody else because they're invaluable to stay alive now, and we need to get them reverse aging, and it's a matter of being a collective and bringing my past in, and a lot of things are they're just gonna start fixing themselves, because we're gonna take it as it comes and properly resolve stuff. And I have it's incredible the list of people that need to be swept up immediately. Just to show that I have homeless people that are going to be adopted for life. Innocuous mentally ill people. We just leave them to their own devices. We're not going to leave Russia, the mothers and all the grieving people from the war in Israel and Hamas and in Palestine and everywhere else to their own devices anymore. We gotta make sure people get healed properly, and we gotta let go of all the baggage. It's not going to be that hard. I just think this will be a wave, and I think Hollywood's going to be flipping. I know the music industry is. You got to tell John Cougar Mellencamp that Human Wheels, we're getting ready to rock and roll. And Bob Dylan with TU, the Bob Dylan is Jimi Hendrix, and he always has been. I've always felt that. But now it's a dot. I mean, all along the Watchtower is Bob Dylan. It's like Johnson but there's, and let me explain that just so that even I will know. This is the way diversity works. So I need to be around, let's say, people that are very, very high in organizational skills. But then I need an equal and opposite of that. Okay, so there's the two parts of the whole. Now, you can become four parts if you want, and the way the triangle, well, let's not complicate this. So anyway, two parts, then triangle, okay, then six. And it's just like the notes, B, C, D, E, F, G, and they're all part of A. And when you get school children and workplaces equalizing as equal and opposites, they end up at neutrality in between. They become each other. And if you have children that are like the notes and skills and stuff, they start taking care of each other, and they all naturally advance, and they just all work. They just start working. It's new as each other. We all have limitations, and we all have to be compensated, and we all need everybody else. And Hamas and the Jews they are reliant for some reason, and they just need to figure out why. We just no more killing. We got plenty of room. I'm not aware that we're going to have any. We're not. Unfortunately, it's going to take crop cycles to help some people, but there's a lot of things that we can do. And since Riverside Drive-In and window pane LSD, I just want to mention to Brazil, if they're seeing all those shanty towns, can you put drive-in screens on those shanty towns, and at least let those kids see cartoons, and at least let the people be hooked up to feel like they're part of the future? I mean, we can't do much except throw the call out to the grape industry, because on grapes, all you have is a stem left. So on the countries that, the areas that are just poverty and starving and malnourished and everything else, grapes, in the shanty towns, you don't end up with a lot of rotting waste. So, and they're just chock full. The other thing we need to address is the carnitine, and we need to address carnitine in general. Jurassic Park needs to cut the feed, but carnitine almost requires us to eat red raw meat. And if we're all deficient in carnitine, then that could have a lot to do with brain deterioration or weakness as we get older. But we're going to be phasing out the meat eating shit. We just, that has nothing to do with music. You know, so we have to use words to redirect our bodies. That's all we got to do. We don't have to do surgery on ourselves. We need to work through the logic of how we operate now and how we operate. And we close that loop, and then we grab black wires and we see what we got. It's collective will, so, you know, it's not like anyone could become dangerous and you have to avoid black wires because you might blow up or something. But 14 wild cards. 14 out of 30, I think. And 2 through 9, double odds is 2, and that equals none. So you can either do that as 2 through 9, once, twice, or none. So that's 30 wild cards, 30 zeros. And, you know, in your first progression, 636, okay, this is a closed electrical circuit. This way, it's 8, 64, 5, 12, 4096, 32768, 262, 144. Then on 6, 636, 216, 1296, 7776, 466, 56. Then 262, 144 times 6 equals 1572, 864. 864 beginning, 864 end is a numeric electrical circuit closed. Just waiting to be jumped. And that's what the women's intuition is. So anyway, okay.